Are you gonna sing?
No.
I just want to make it up. No.
Okay, so these are the slower doxologies. We'll do the faster doxologies too, but these are just a good challenge. There's nothing amazingly complicated about them, and they're kind of formulaic to a certain degree, but they're pretty fun to sing. So with this one, we'll just start with the first mode one. Tetraphonic just means four phones,
Four phones?
yeah, four sounds. So it's just made up. It's the way that it's based is based upon four notes, and so it's kind of based off of ke, and so that's where our first note is not actually pa, it's actually ke, is where we start from. So because from pa to ke is four notes. I'll have to look at the Greek word for phone.
Phony, what means sound?
Yeah, four sounds,
Four sounds.
which would be four notes.
Oh, notes.
Yeah, for us.
Phongos is also another note.
Yeah.
Phongos.
So we'll just think through it. This is, as I mentioned before, that this is interpreted by Athanasius Karamanis, and he was that bridge between the old school and the new school. And so some of the things that he wrote down, he wrote how they sung it in the old way, so that we can still sing it in that way. So this is not the way that Jacobus the Protopasaltes actually wrote it, but how he interpreted it. So it goes kind of high, not really terribly high, but it goes kind of high. So we'll keep it a little on the lower side. Ane, anes, glory be to thee who has shown the light. Glory in the highest to God, and on earth peace, goodwill among men. We can stop there for the second. So, any immediate questions there? There's a tempo change which I didn't do, but I should probably do it. But anything in particular?
There's a tempo change.
After who has shown that the light?
After
Oh.
the first one.
Okay, right.
Mm-hmm. So that would kind of pull it back a good bit.
Just for light though? I mean, 'cause then it seems like then it goes back to the original tempo.
Light. Yep.
Oh, okay.
You just kind of pull it.
Hey, don't
Milk it
pay
a little
attention
bit.
to those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
We don't see them very often,
Yeah.
so at least in the music that we're singing. So it's always one tempo.
Right.
It's like ritardo, something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, this would actually be a change in tempo. But yeah, in this case, you
In
would
this
pull
case,
it almost like you would
yeah.
retard it. Retardando. A similar thing. Can we sing it again?
Yep.
Glory be to thee who has shown the light. Glory in the highest to God, and on earth peace, goodwill among men. Cool. We talked about the dotted gorgons right before. So that is, that specifically is 2/3, 1/3. Number 2. We praise thee, we bless thee, we worship thee, we glorify thee. We give thanks to thee, for I was reading it. I was like, wait, that's wrong. Wait, that's right. Let's do from For Thy Great Glory again, just for me.
Where?
No. For Thy Great
We
Glory.
don't know.
Actually, can we take it from We Worship Thee? Because I
I
just
just continue.
We worship
From the
thee.
key.
Oh yeah. We worship thee. We glorify thee. We give thanks to thee for thy great glory. Cool. So the only thing there, I guess on We Worship Thee, that's where you have the syndesmos, which is kind of, don't breathe there. That's not a
Right,
good
yeah.
place. And besides that, there's not really anyone to talk about there. Any questions on that one, or is that okay?
Yeah.
Keep going. O Lord, King, heavenly God, the Father Almighty, O Lord, the only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So, is that an okay tempo? Should we pull it slower?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
What's it supposed to be?
I would sing it that. I mean, you could sing it faster, but I think that faster might be a little pushing it. But that tempo for that one specifically sounds majestic, but restrained. So you could sing it faster though, but I probably wouldn't sing it too much faster than that. Keep going. Unless there's any questions.
No.
Oh Lord God, Lamb of God, Son of the Father, who takest away the sin of the world, have mercy on us. Thou who takest away the sin of the world. Do that again.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, where did you turn chromatic at the end? On us? Did I miss something? 'Cause when you turn chromatic, thou who takest, right?
I was chromatic for a long time.
Wait,
So I'm.
where was
If
I?
someone else wants to answer the question.
I saw there. Okay. I thought it ended.
So-
I guess I didn't see it right.
So the middle of the second line is where we turn it on.
Yeah. And I
Hard
forgot
chromatics.
where
That
you
becomes.
just continued it.
Yeah, that
I
becomes-
thought it stopped and I missed it.
No, it stops.
I know.
It seems
Oh,
like
you saw that.
it seems like
I
it should
missed
stop,
that. That's-
but it doesn't.
No, I missed it. I had mistaken it for the
So-
flat. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
the flat of the sharp. Okay.
Yeah. So that one is because. Do you want to answer why that is, or do you know why that is?
What the?
Why that sharp is there on Mercy?
No, no, I don't know why.
Anyone else, or do you want me to answer it?
Mm.
Okay, so if you go, let's say the end of the first line, we switch to pa diatonic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes pa diatonic, and everything there is pa. And then after that, then we have pa hard chromatic, or ke hard chromatic, depending upon how you're counting it. Nevertheless, beneath ke is the, and ke the ke zo ni pa ni zo ke the ke or pa vu ga vi ga vu pa ni pa, which is not what they want. So there they went pa vu pa ni pa vu ga vu pa. So that's just to make sure that you're keeping those notes really close together. That would probably be an oral tradition thing, I think, but because Karamanis is writing out what you should do, he's telling you specifically keep those notes close together. You would do it anyway because you're just hitting it. Yeah. Okay. You might do it anyway, but he's just saying specifically do what I want you to do. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
So on mercy, that's a. Where are we there? It's can't. That's D.
On where? On mercy.
Kevi.
Yeah. Kevi.
All right. So without that sharp there, is that what you just got through saying? Without that sharp there, that would be a fold.
Yeah.
But you would sing it normally anyways to keep within the scale.
Yeah. And this is where he's showing you. So you don't always have to do that.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't that be automatic? That it would only be a half step anyway if you're in soft chromatic, right?
We're in hard chromatic.
Oh, hard chromatic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Full step. So doing it anyways is more like an oral tradition thing, which is what Karamanis is trying to capture. So like if I were reading the music, I wouldn't do that because
you would do what?
Like
you wouldn't write it.
Well, if that flat was there or that sharp was there, if it wasn't there, I might not know because I come from no tradition, you know. And so if you're somehow taught by someone who would do that, then you would do it. But he's writing from a very specific tradition which would do that. So just attracting of those notes, which is not necessarily. It's not wrong and it's not wrong and it's not correct. It's kind of like that's a certain way of doing it. So that's the oral tradition.
Sure, you adhere to the tradition. Okay.
So back to the beginning, O Lord. O Lord God, Lamb of God, Son of the Father, who takest away the sin of the world, have mercy on us. Thou who takest away the sin of the world. Cool? Make sense?
Yeah, it was better.
And so we got a high pa there, and kind of high ga in there somewhere. So this is always at the beginning of a piece. You're like, you got to figure out where you're gonna pitch it,
It's gonna go.
or count on the fact that you're gonna drop, which is not good to do. It's not good to drop. So in this one, halfway through on Father, we have a tempo change again, and then if you notice, we end on Ni, which is kind of odd. But with these on it, it all works out beautifully. It's really nice. But if you notice, the one thing tetraphonic, we're kind of sitting on this upper area of ke and above.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of hanging out there.
Now what's that? I mean, it looks like a slur, but I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's
Father.
That's an ephen. That's the hyphen that connects two notes. Normally it would add beats to it. In this case, I guess it
would add beats to it.
Normally, like it would connect two notes of the same note, so like ke and ke would be connected, and you would say, oh, they're tied together. In this case, yeah, I guess they're just slurred.
Huh.
This is where you start sometimes seeing Western music symbols enter into Byzantine music.
That's how, I mean, it looks kind of out of place.
Yeah, maybe I'll try and ask and see. You know where that is. It's kind of like when they put a fermata in Byzantine music. A fermata does not exist in Byzantine music. But that's where like a modern composer like, oh man, we gotta use the fermata. So.
But they wouldn't put it in this kind of thing. They would use the EFN, right? Or did they actually use the fermata?
Sometimes.
Oh.
In this case, he uses the EFN to connect them.
I'm sure Jacobus the Protosophist wasn't using it.
I'll have to find his original version and see what he's got there, and see how. I'm curious how different it is, like the interpretation.
Innovation.
I brought this at some point because I was told to sing some things by Jacobus, and then I brought this and it was kind of and George in DC, he looked at it and he was like, this is not right, and he was like, this is not at all like Jacobus, and then he noticed it was interpreted. So I'll have to look and see what Jacobus actually wrote. So. Is this okay pitch-wise?
Yeah.
Receive our prayer, thou who sittest at the right hand of the Father, and have mercy on us.
That is weird.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the Isan kind of gives it this. It's kind of, I don't know, it's unsettling a little bit, but it
Yeah, because Isan just goes from V to K. It's kind of odd.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you want to sing the East song and we can sing the melody?
You guys feel comfortable to sing the melody?
Yeah, why
I
not?
don't know.
Give it a shot.
I want to see what it sounds
Mm.
Never know till you try, right?
And then we can always switch back. And I do the melody. Receive our prayer, thou who sittest at the right hand of the Father. So it's good. Sittest at the right hand of the Father. So let's do sittest at, and then I'll sing Isan from there. Sittest at the right hand of the Father.
What is
And have mercy on us. So.
It was funny, we just talked.
Yeah. So number 6, unless you want to go more on number 5.
That did sound cool with the East song.
Mm-hmm. And if I really gotta just remember to bring my little speaker, and then we can do the Isan together, or we can have the Isan with us and sing. Number 6. Let's see, what are we actually on? Let's bring it up maybe a little bit. For thou alone art holy, thou alone art Lord Jesus Christ, to the glory of God the Father. Amen. Yeah, that's my fault. I keep reading what I want and not what is written. Do that again, or?
Yeah.
You stand up, bitch. For thou alone So everything okay with the scale changes and everything. It's kind of funny. I don't know if you've noticed it, but where we're on essentially pa up at ke, and then we switch out of that, and it doesn't. I don't know, to go back into the other scale is kind of like, oh, you got to change your mind. You got to change your mode of how you're doing it. So it's a bending of the mind. It's a little difficult. So number 7. Whenever, let me look at real quick. Yeah, just little scale changes. We're essentially just playing with upper ke or upper pa. So. Every day. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and unto the ages of ages. Let's do that one more time. So the one thing, the Isan changed on the first line, changed the ga, and that kind of tells us we're changing from first mode. And then if you notice, we've got a little enharmonic symbol there. And we kind of go out of this almost into like a, I don't know, a tone 3-ish type of thing. So it kind of changes. I don't know what to say. It changes like its mode of operation. We're not really changing modes, but we're changing how we're using the mode. So. Okay, every day. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and unto the ages of ages. And then the only thing at the page turn essentially, and into the ages, it sounds a little bit funny, but because we have pa pa fu ga ke di ga, then it kind of makes sense. But it's only because that scale change is why it makes sense. But otherwise, it kind of sounds a little weird why we would do that.
Because it's a little higher.
Yeah, and you would never really use that. You would never use that phrase except for the fact that we've changed how the scale is working. We're actually using a different part of the scale. So, I don't know if that makes any sense. So, like if you did.
It'll come one day.
What did it for?
Oh yes. It'll come like a light bulb.
That's what he meant.
Crashing on
Yeah.
my head.
Years from now, you'll be like, wait a minute.
I wake up in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, but by the time we get to sing it in a service, maybe it'll be like, this makes so much sense. We'll just move on for the moment. 8. Essentially, it's just the fact that we're using. Ke becomes pa, so now we're singing it essentially the upper part of the scale, but we're singing as if it was pa, first mode diatonic. So you end up using things that you wouldn't use at the upper part of the scale, but you can now use it because we've changed the upper part. It's now acting as if it were the lower part. If that makes anything work there.
Yeah.
So number 8. Thou save, O Lord, to keep us this day without sin. Let's do that one more time. So this is where now we got upper zo comes into play. So can we do this with paralagi, just because?
Okay.
Du pa
No, but it's okay.
ga li ke zo ke zo ni zo ke zo ni zo ke li pa ni zo ke li ke li ga vu pa. All right. So it's one of those things that, at least for me, when you sing with pedalagi, it makes perfect sense because you know exactly what note you're on. But otherwise, it's very easy to get kind of confused as to where you are in the scale and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So do it with the words or move on?
Yes.
Okay. Thou save, O Lord, to keep us this day without sin. Cool. And this is one of those where it's very fun to have a B choir, because then you get a chance to, like, you've done your part, you've done this majestic thing, and then it's like, you guys go, then we come back in. Blessed art thou, O Lord. So this is where we enter into a diatonic grave mode, which we talked about before last week, and that we never really sing because we don't really know how to do it. Us specifically, other people know how to do it. Just I don't really sing it on a regular basis because there's not really an opportunity to do it. So right at the second line, second half of the line, second line, and then the first half of the third line, which is where we start playing with all these pa ni zo zo ke zo ni zo ke li, and then we switch back out.
I like this.
Yeah, and diatonic grave mode, as it's been explained to me, is almost like it's diatonic, but then it's almost as if you combine like a hard chromatic upper portion to it because of all the attractions of the notes. It almost has this hard chromatic flavor to it. And here they've actually written the sharps there for you.
Okay.
Blessed art thou, O Lord, the God of our fathers, and praised and glorified is thy name unto the ages. Amen.
What?
Okay, let's do Paralagi with that one. So, yeah. So,
We forgot where they changed scales.
pa ke zo ni zo pa vu pa ni zo ke ga vu pa ke ga vu pa zo ni pa vu ga vu pa ni zo ke zo ni zo ke li ke zo pa ni zo ke li ga vu pa ni ga vu pa.
That was better.
Pa ni zo ke zo ni zo ke vi, vi ke zo pa ni zo ke vi ga vu, pa ni ga vu pa. So it's kind of a very difficult thing to wrap your mind around. That's where the Isan sometimes helps you actually figure out where you fit into the whole scheme of things. So again from number 9. Blessed art thou, Lord, the God of our fathers, and praise and glorified is thy name unto the ages. Amen.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Okay, so when we sing unto the ages, from thee and ages, is that thing underneath make it more than one step?
It's up 2. On A. Yeah, it's up 2 with a flutter.
Okay.
But with a flutter. With a flutter, but necessarily not.
On ages.
Yeah.
On A.
Well, right on the age. Oh, I don't know how to sound.
Unto the age.
So it's a flutter with it.
Right.
So it actually goes up a little bit higher.
Ages. Amen.
I can't do flutters. It's not in my repertoire.
That's okay. You won't be criticized. They might.
No, sing along.
Yeah. As they did when I was in Greece in 2008, I think it was. They were like, very pure voice, very pure. And they're like, you need gruff. You need to do something with the notes. And it's kind of because I was like,
I just don't know how they do it.
And unto.
I just don't know. I think it's
what?
Greece?
Well, I was singing in a bookstore.
In English.
Well, actually, they gave me a Greek book to read from. They didn't have it in English.
Okay.
But it was a really slow thing, and they were like, Ani. So that's exactly what I sang. It was exactly what the music sang.
Were you reading the Greek, or was it transliterated?
No, I read the Greek. Yeah. But then that wasn't how they wanted me to interpret it. So.
But they have this thing that I don't know how when they read too, the same thing. Can never imitate it. You know, in the flutter of the voice. When they read as well.
Yeah,
I thought the Greeks had different notation.
They do it.
Yeah, but they do it just like we break it out often by syllables as opposed to the whole word. So it's easier to sing when you see syllables.
If you
just
know,
like the English.
You know what the syllables are.
Yeah.
You don't really know what the words are.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's easier too because you have to look at the whole word, which might be this long.
Yeah.
Which usually is
5 or 6 syllables. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, the convenient part is if you're familiar with math or physics, then you've kind of got Greek down because you're like alpha, beta, nu, zeta. You got it.
Or if you belong to a sorority.
Yeah.
Greek letters.
I'm not. No, I didn't.
Kappa, kappa, gamma.
Well, I
Joking,
started
just-
it was.
Number 10.
The Greek letter society.
Number 10. That was how I learned though. Is from physics and math, and then eventually I actually learned how to read, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty close. So.
But did you know what they teach in the schools, in the classical schools, is the Erasmian pronunciation, which I've heard so often. It really throws you off. You've heard that too, right?
Yeah.
Which is it's not the way the Greeks say it.
Yep. Yeah.
The
So
British
I don't know if it's the way that anyone says it, except for the academics.
The academics, however, say that.
Number 10. What is our first note?
Would we end up on pa?
Yep.
What is
So
it? Oh,
ni
Yep.
or ni prime, whatever that is. High ni.
Right. 1, 2. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us, even as we have hoped in thee. What did we do wrong there?
It sounded funky.
Do we end up on pause? We ended up right, really?
Thought we were doing the right thing.
Even as we have hoped in thee. I don't know what we did wrong.
Oh, we didn't do the two notes.
No,
Maybe I did.
I have no idea what we actually did wrong. Because it seems to work. I thought the music was written wrong, but number 10. One more time.
Maybe that's the
Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us, even as we have hoped in thee. I think it was on up. I think we didn't do that as an Isan. I think we went down.
Oh, yeah?
And so I think we ended on Z in that middle thing. And then I messed up everything.
Yeah.
Still sounded okay until we got to the end. So, keep going. Blessed art thou, Lord, O Lord, teach me thy statutes.
If you didn't get the first time, you get 2 more shots.
You get 2 more shots, yeah, exactly. That's where the protopsaltis messes up. Then the lapidaries, the B choir gets a chance. Like, all right, let me show you how it's done. Right choir. Let's sing it again. Blessed art thou, Lord, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. Let's do it once in Paralagi for the 3rd time, just to see how it works. Okay. Kezoni pani pani zo kezo kedigani pani zo kezo keke gavo gani gani. So let's go back to that.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
wait. Why did we say?
Because we went to diatonic in Pa.
Yep.
Right there, at the end of the line.
That's Ke, but now it's Pa.
Yeah. So now it's.
Wait,
Yeah,
I
so
was
now,
saying Canberra.
Pa.
So now that's teaches is D.
Yep. And remember on oots of statutes, what happens there?
I mean, yeah, then you pick the K again.
Yep. Teach.
Weird.
Gavu gavi gavi ke gavi gavu pavu pa ke. Nicely done. Because we gotta end on in diatonic the rate that we started. So
Right.
otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. And this is where one of those things, blessed art thou, O Lord. Blessed art thou, Lord, or O Lord. Depends on who's singing it, and depends where the Isan is. If that was instead of a pa, if it was mazi, the M together.
Where?
On Lord.
Oh yeah.
Then you would probably go Lord, oh Lord, because that's kind of the attraction of the notes. Because we're up in this upper tetrachord. We're up on Ke. Ke zonizo ke di ga di ke. But here goes the thunder. But because Pa is down there now, you might end up Ke zo ke di ga ni pa ni zo ke ke. So it kind of depends who you're singing with and what the Isan decides to do there. I don't know if that makes any immediate sense. It's just that attraction of notes and how the harmonics are going to work out. So, which is why we sang it differently when we were just singing straight out with no Isan. But then we went to Nipavu, then it was like, oh, ke di ga. But it could be ke di ga ni. Number 14. Where do we start from?
From me.
Yeah, which is different than most of the other ones we've sung so far. Because most of the other ones end on Pa. This one does not then.
Alright, so that ends on Ke.
And then, but the curious thing is when you're doing 11, 12, and 13 together, even though it ends on Ke, you have to remember that your starting note is not from Pa. It's not from Ke. It's from Pa.
Oh, when you go back,
yeah. Because sometimes when I finish that,
and
I go back, I'm like,
you go back and you're still on Ke. Yeah.
No. It's like, no, that's not where I am. It's still there.
You do the 3 times and you're up like soprano range.
Yeah, you jumped up 2 octaves there. So 14. Tetrake, zonizoke, Lord, thou hast been our refuge from generation to generation. I said, oh Lord, have mercy on me, heal my soul, for I have sinned against thee. There goes our fermata.
That's your fermata.
Against thee. Yep, little drama. So.
That's 2.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So, how'd the middle, the third line go?
No, it was a little. I think we got to the end of it, but
Yeah.
I think we went by different paths.
Maybe start to have mercy on me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or maybe I said, let's get into it.
Yep. I said, oh Lord, have mercy on me, heal my soul, for I have sinned against thee. Everything else okay in there?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a few scale changes, but it's funny because we don't change to a different type of scale. We're still in like the same scale. We just change
different diatonics.
Yeah, different parts of the diatonic, or we get a little bit of the enharmonic, which just nuances it.
Oh, you're right there.
So, oh Lord. Oh Lord, to thee have I fled for refuge. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, like this ends up becoming a lot of fun once you get comfortable with it, and once you get those endings are pretty fun. Keep going or do it again?
Just thou is a slight change of scale there.
So
thou, and how do you do that with the?
So what we did, so we had teach me to do thy will.
Right.
Gavu pavo gavi gavu vupa vuni zokevi. So that's where our zo becomes. Now we're back at I kezoni zoke as opposed to pavu gavu pa. So that just tells us our zo is going to be pulled down.
Oh, yeah, it's almost imperceptible.
You might pull the vo down anyway as it was, but this tells you at least that you're back at you have to finish in the scale that you started with.
Why does it tell you that tell you the zo is going to be pulled down? Why does it tell you that?
Because before we switched and we had made ni ga on teach.
Right, yeah, that's right. That would have been
So,
me, but now it's God that
because if it was you wouldn't really have it pulled down to the same weight.
That's what you would be, how you would sing it if you hadn't changed the diatonic in either.
Right, and then partly, I mean, sometimes you can flatten vu. You can do that in other things, so it does happen. But besides just knowing to flatten it, like getting a guarantee that you should flatten it, is also the fact that we have to finish in the original scale. So it's there for two purposes.
I'm still not seeing why it's flattened. I mean, it would have been the gavu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thou, or yeah, right there, right after thou.
Mm-hmm.
The gavu.
Yep.
But now it's ni.
Yep.
So it's ni zo ke.
Yeah.
But zo's flattened.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, because you're coming down.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's like the zo.
But
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily do that if it was ga vu pa.
Because you don't flatten ga.
Yeah.
You flatten zo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. That's just that thing about flattening zo.
Yep.
You're coming down off.
Yeah.
Flatten whatever you want, I think.
What?
You can flatten whatever you
Well,
want.
Yeah,
yeah,
but zo is
zo's
traditionally
famously
flattened.
flattened when you
Zo
do
is
it.
a big player.
If you know it's zo, which
Yeah.
I would have known.
And like I said, sometimes you can flatten vu, but it's one of those things. It's like it's a very specific time when you flatten vu. So in this case, we're switching back to the original scale.
They don't tell you to flatten zo. They just assume it.
Yeah, it's assumed. The reading between the lines.
And that's the sole purpose for doing that, right? At this
No.
point?
Well, it's also to finish in the original part of the scale. Otherwise, we'd be in an upper part of the scale. Because teach me to do thy will changes ke becomes pa.
Right, but
And then
I mean, you're still not finishing where you started.
Because that little symbol on top next to thou, that guy tells you that's going to be high knee.
You're right, yeah.
Yes. And that now we can actually finish. Ke, so ke for thou, that ke is currently pa. So
Right.
Ni. So now we're back into the regular ni zo ke vi ga vu pa ni ga vu pa. So now we can actually end on pa.
Oh, okay.
Because we're in diatonic already, but now we have to end in the original place where that scale resided.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, number 16. For in thee is the fountain of life, in thy light.
Well,
that?
we missed page.
In thy light. And you could do thy light. I just think they would light. It seems like people like to do that, so.
That's not written though, right?
No.
We just
That would just
do
be a
it
thing they
'cause
would
it
do.
sounds good. We don't-
Often I just eat put with a gorgon on top. he gets interpreted differently than he might otherwise want to be. So, in that night, alright, let's just do the entire thing. 16? Yeah. For in thee is the fountain of life, in thy light we shall see light. Yeah. So continue thy mercy. Continue thy mercy unto those who know thee. Do it again, or?
Sure. Since you weren't all happy about what you had.
Continue. Continue thy mercy unto those who know thee. Cool. And as you can tell, like sometimes with little pauses here, you can take some time with it because it's a slower melody. Do you want to finish out the Holy God and
Sure.
everything?
Okay.
So we don't have to, but if you want to. Holy God, holy mighty. That's my fault. Holy God. Holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy on us. Cool? Keep going?
Can do it 3 times.
Oh, wait. For the sake of time, we can just keep going. So, glory. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. 23, or is that okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay, 23. Holy immortal, have mercy on us. All right, 24 through 26. We still good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. this is asthmatic on the slow stuff. So we get the slow. Let's see. That should probably be okay still. Holy God, holy, mighty, again?
Yeah.
There is where we need to work.
Let's do that one more time. I misread that rhythm.
Holy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Beginning.
The beginning.
It's not much else.
That's not right.
Yes, I'm carrot.
Let's do immortal.
Yep.
Yeah, there should be an E on there instead of the. So on the second more of immortal,
So many of those.
the,
20 of those. Second, okay.
go from tol,
Mhm.
the last tol, and then count back. So where you got an oligon with a
When
kandimata
it's
on top.
more and then it's more, they don't give you.
So
there's only one toll.
That shouldn't be oligon with a kandimata on top for more.
Should be Niso.
It should be an isan with, and then a kandimata next to it with a orgon. Yeah.
Oh,
So
this should be an Isan, is what you're saying, right?
yeah. So it
that's
should
what I
be
thought.
It's kind of a draw. 'Cause there's no
immortal. Yeah, otherwise it
Wait,
wouldn't.
wait, wait.
Mortal.
I'm trying to figure out where
This.
Yep.
That's
Oligon.
Yes.
It should instead
should
of
be-
the oligon, it should be an isan.
Niso with that Kandimata after.
really? So just put a little squiggle on it, like to make them.
Yeah.
Well,
Technically, it should be rewritten.
Or they
but
graphically correct it.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
Poor-
For a lack of
I
space.
just want to
Yeah.
understand. Singapore.
Okay.
That's what Esau.
Let's do that little part slow, and then maybe we'll do the entire thing slow. Immortal, have mercy on us.
That was a little weird.
Yeah, so it goes back into tempo and have
Yeah.
mercy on us.
Right.
But then on us, it slows back down. Have mercy on us. Let's do Holy, the 26 one more time. Holy. I keep wanting to hold that.
Yeah.
One more time. From
where?
the beginning? From
Beginning?
26, yeah. So at the end of a long night vigil, then that's kind of like, all right, we're done for a little bit of time until liturgy begins. So and then the litanies, and then normally there's some monk or somebody who's like, Lord of mercy, just like very low key.
Is this mainly monastic stuff? Because traditionally, I mean, because.
Nope. This is more city music. Yep.
I'm just saying because traditionally I thought the congregation chants. So would the congregation then know all this?
So we're talking about different lineages here. So originally, yes, up until about the 8th century, and then music started to be written down, and then they were kind of like, we can write down complicated things that we couldn't do before because we couldn't actually remember and do virtuosic things. So after the 8th century, then people started writing down more like certain melodies. So let's say for the Trubic hymn, they're like, we need to take up some time. Let's do something a little bit more virtuosic. And then you had a few people maybe that could sing it, or you had one person who was like, would do this certain thing. So then you started to have this separation between the congregation and the chanters, because it became, instead of just the chanter leading the congregation, it became chanter and congregation. And then they started to pull away even further. Then you had, all throughout the 14th and 15th century, you had melismatic chants, where you don't even have words anymore. Now it's just like, na, 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 and with words interspersed, but like eventually it just became very melismatic that you can't do with a congregation because they're not going to remember that, and many of them can't even sing it because they just don't have that skill.
Well, maybe not my question. That's not exactly what we're there for. We're not there to hear the chanter.
So
we're there to worship together
right.
as a unit.
And the chanter's not there to be heard. The chanter's there to cultivate an atmosphere of prayer. So if you have a chanter that's somehow trying to be impressive or something like that, or show like off his amazing abilities, then St. Augustine says, if I have been I've been impressed by the chanter, I confess that I have sinned and prefer not to hear the chanter again. If I have been more moved by the music than by the words, then I confess that I have sinned. So what you have is this kind of organically developed, and there are times when for sure it should be congregational singing. Sometimes with things like this, you're trying to take up an all-night vigil, and then these end up having a place in there. And normally, a lot of times they're sung in monastic communities where like you have choirs that are singing these together. So it's still groups of monks, like 20 monks on each side maybe, that are singing this. But the regular monks would just be there, just embodied in prayer, because you can lose yourself inside of the music. You're not necessarily being like, wow, this is amazing, good, big choir, go. It's more, it's so long that you don't have to worry about the words, and time is of no essence because we're going to be here for the next 11 hours anyway. That type of thing.
Plus you practice it almost every day as a monk.
Yeah.
You do this so often, I guess people do know. Because they had to memorize it in the old days.
They would know this.
They would know it by,
yeah.
They wouldn't read it. You can't, with spike up there, you can't read.
Well, that's the fun.
Candlelight, so they all had to memorize it.
Well, that's the fun part, is that eventually you do have people that are even like the ones that were old chanters that like an hour too old to chant, they'll let the young monks chant, and they're back there like praying, but you hear them like, no. Like, because they know it's coming up, and they're like, that was good.
Everybody have candles?
We got tons of candles.
Right, we're in a church though.